clarification?
Lord, we thank you for this day that you bless us with. We ask that you keep your hand over each and every one here as they travel home. And we ask that you bless us with wisdom and guidance throughout these meetings. In your wonderful name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right. Shelley, roll call.
Yes, sir. Mike Shambaugh,
Here.
Harley Buzzard, Keith Austin, Joe Byrd, Juliet Coates,
Here.
Sean Crittenden, Joe Deere, Mike Dobbins, Kanan Duncan, Rex Jordan, Daryl Legg, Wes Snowfire, Dora Petskowski, Mary Baker Shaw, E.O. Smith, Janice Taylor, Victoria
We don't have
Vasquez.
anybody on the screen.
We have a
Joe.
quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, if everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes, I need a motion to approve. Second? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? None? Okay, do we have anybody on the screen? I don't see anybody but Julia. Nope, here we go. Who's call-in user?
That's Julia.
Oh,
both
but,
of them.
oh, I see.
So, if I might, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with our teleconferencing and video conferencing software today. So we're trying to get a hold of each of the executive directors, and we're going to bring them down. And so I'm here to filibuster a little bit. But if we can go a little bit out of sequence as we get the people to come in and answer the questions and update you guys on all the things that are going on. So if we could, I'd like to suggest that Mr. Andy Quitone go next.
Absolutely. We will do whatever it takes to get it done. Andy, you're up.
Thank you, guys. As you know, I'm Andy Quitone. I'm the Director of Transportation. Mr. Lynn was unavailable to give his report today, so I'm here instead of him. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. The guys at Water and Sanitation are watching, and they got their phones, so they can help me answer questions on that side.
Does anybody have any questions for Andy? Okay, Andy, also, we have public comments on road issues. Does anybody have any questions about any, or have any road issues or questions about roads? Well, you got off lucky. Joe Deere?
Go ahead, yeah.
Hey, Q. Hey, just an update. Did you get, where are we on the signs for those road projects?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was just fixing to mention that. I've got some signs. We're having to order some more because we got a little low, but we're distributing those this week. We will be getting them out to the different county commissioners. There's several that need to go here in Cherokee County, but I know Councilwoman Vasquez has asked for some. So we're getting those out this week. And if there's anybody that needs them, if you could just shoot me an email and say, hey, County Commissioner so-and-so needs them, and we'll make sure that they get them if they don't have them. Now, some of the counties should already have some surplus signs. So I think that by this week, we should have most of them out.
And are they going to help on those entering Cherokee Nation signs?
No, well, I say no. I don't know for sure if that falls on us or if that falls on someone else, because we have not ever made entering Cherokee Nation signs. I don't know where those originally came from. They were up a long time ago. I have an old sign in my office that says, entering the reservation of the Cherokee Nation. But it's been years and years and years that's been laying around. So I don't know for sure where those signs came from, but I can sure find out. And if you need us to run with that and take the ball on that, then we could do that.
I believe that is the state of Oklahoma that does that, because those are the same kind of signs that the state puts out.
Yeah, because they would have to go in ODOT's right away, unless for some reason there's tribal land right there. We would have to get permission from ODOT. They would have to, spec them out to make sure they're right.
Streets.
Excuse me?
Those arterial streets in Tulsa, where you
Yes.
transfer over, because that wouldn't be a DOT.
No, it wouldn't, but it would be the city of Tulsa.
Right.
You're right, which that county commissioner could do.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? And Mr. Quitone, how long ago did you steal that sign?
It's, It's not like when you were in high school and you get those flashing signs and put them in the back of your truck and then get pulled over and I don't know what sign you're talking about. I inherited it when I moved in that office. It was there, so.
I see. Okay,
I'm
yeah.
pointing a finger at Michael Lynn. He found that sign somewhere.
Okay, well, I could buy that. Michael, sounds like Michael.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
It may have actually, Councilman Buzzard may have had that sign.
Speaker?
Those entering Cherokee Nation and any other tribal has to come from ODOT. They will make them and put them up, or they
Right.
did for us back then, so I don't know how it is.
But this old entering the Cherokee Reservation sign, was that there when you were there?
Oh, that's my sign.
See, that's Harley's sign I got. Yep.
I don't know where it came from.
you must have gotten that out of Eastern Band. They have on their reservation
Well,
years ago. Hey, Andy, refresh my memory here. We've had election. Who are the 3 county commissioners, Cherokee County?
He's a young man from Holbert. I've met with him. I don't remember, Chris Jenkins.
Okay.
That's the only new one. We still have, Mr. Hall, and then, Doug Hubbard is still
Okay,
in office.
all right, you did good. Yeah, that would be neat to get those type of signs. I tell you, one of the neatest signs I've seen is a sky took. It says, "Where the Cherokees and Osages meet."
Oh, that's good, yeah.
That's one of the neatest signs that I've seen yet.
We could do that for us and Creeks, since we boundary there.
Yeah.
That
that'd
would
be
work.
neat.
That'd be cool.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. EO?
While we're talking about signs, one of the biggest places we're missing is on I-40. You don't tell you when you enter Cherokee County, you know,
Reservation.
Cherokee Nation. It doesn't say anything about that. I was coming in yesterday and I was noticing, and there's nothing on I-40 coming from Oklahoma City saying you're in Cherokee Nation. It does when you're leaving, but it doesn't say anything about when you're coming in.
Well, can we just write on the back of the leaving as welcome?
Yeah, we could write on the back.
Yeah, that would be an ODOT deal, but we can sure contact them and talk to them about that. Where you have the leaving, we need an entering also, yes.
Yeah, there's thousands of cars go down there every day.
Boy, there is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, that'll work. Harley?
Andy, would it, on the reports that you give for the projects in these different areas, would it be possible to put the award amount of what it's costing? I've always been, like in Adair County, you got Delaware South, like, it's a $5 million project. To me, that's just good information to have out here.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem, just the bid award amount
Yeah. bid
of
award
what it was, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else have any questions for Andy? All right, Andy, good report.
Thank you guys very much. Have a
Thank you
great
for
day.
covering.
You're welcome.
Ann and I, we're going to bounce around a little bit. Commerce Housing Report.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anna.
It's good to see everybody in person.
Well, thanks for coming on short notice.
Yes, I had a brisk walk from the motel. So you have a copy of my report. I will let you know that the IRS and the Oklahoma Tax Commission have extended tax returns for Oklahoma to June 15th. That's the new deadline because of the winter weather. And that really only affects Texas and Oklahoma. So we've added a couple of weeks to our regular appointments. We're going to try and stop doing taxes on April 30th. We'll still try to help people if we can, but that's when MAP starts picking up as well. So, and through March 11th, we've done 965 tax returns so far. So that is the only update I have. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Anna? All right, Anna.
Remember, I walked over here.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Anna, since you walked over here, I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
On the tax return, how are you handling the people that are employees here tribal member and they live on a reservation on the state tax issue, how are we addressing that?
We suggest that everybody contact a tax professional for determination on how they should file their taxes individually. So we're not providing any kind of guidance to anybody.
Okay.
If they choose to claim their exempt tribal income, then we will do that if that's what they want us to do, and then we'll provide them with the documentation and print their tax returns out for them, and then they're going to have to mail it in with all the documentation.
Okay. All right. I've been asked that question because that quote is right out of the Oklahoma Tax Commission policy. If you're a tribal member, you live on a reservation, and your revenue comes from the tribe, then you are exempt. So I'm just quoting what the Oklahoma Tax Commission's policy is.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Speaker. That's a good question. Harley?
Anna, I've had, I guess my question would be, is there any other program that you could recommend or that you know of besides the 184 loan program that tribal members or anybody could apply to get a loan? Because what a lot of people call me, they're signing up for new housing, and their new housing is years behind now. So I've been just referring them to go to the 184 program. Is there any other program that they need to check into that they might get loans?
Well, if they're on the Cherokee Nation Reservation, then and they meet the income guidelines, they're eligible for MAP. And we can help anyone, even people who are not receiving the down payment assistance, increase their credit score if they need to, or reduce their debt-to-income ratio, or try to help them figure out if they're eligible for a mortgage. And then besides the 184, which does have some monthly payment advantages because the private mortgage insurance is a little bit less, there's USDA guarantees for specific people, VA guarantees for specific people, and then, of course, the FHA, or
Okay.
just a traditional mortgage.
Okay, so that would be some of your recommendations if they had called you.
Right, and we would try to steer them towards the 184 first.
Okay, and that's what I've done, but it's good to know about the MAP program and the other programs too. Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Dr. Dobbins?
Yes, Anna, just expanding on what Speaker said, a tribal citizen living on the reservation that derives their income from tribal sources, in your view, how's that treated tax-wise?
Well, because I'm not a tax professional, I don't have a specific opinion for people. Previously, the Oklahoma Tax Commission actually said you have to live and work on trust land. And we have some people that participate in our VITA program that meet those qualifications and do that every year. Now people are trying to expand that definition. And, and so it's up to the individual if they want to do that, if they want to do that. But there's been nothing definite from the state on that.
Speaker, would you mind clarifying what you just said previously, that if a tribal citizen living on the reservation that derives their income from tribal sources, you saw something on OTC's website, or?
That's Oklahoma Tax Commission's policy there. Yeah, I would contact your accountant, whoever's going to do your taxes, and have them read that to you, because I'm sure that question's been asked many times in the past 30 days. I mean, that's what the guy that does my taxes just said, well, here it is, Oklahoma Tax Commission. I mean, he just read it almost verbatim to me, what I just said.
So this might be wishful thinking. Does this mean a counselor, their income from Cherokee Nation could be state tax-free? Ask my professional, huh?
Yes, ask your
Okay. All right.
I'm going to pull an Anna Knight here.
Okay.
I'm not a tax professional. I'm a school teacher and coach by trade, but I would consult your financial plan. I think we're going to prevail.
And will say that there are tax people who are doing that. And they're saying that you do not have to, I mean, it encompasses, because you're on the reservation, it doesn't have to come from the Cherokee Nation, because everything, if your income is coming from within the Cherokee Nation. And I'm just saying, I know several people who have done it already, and they've sent theirs in, and a couple of them have got it back, and a couple of them got rejected. So, I guess I don't know what the answer is to that either, because, there's several different interpretations of within the Cherokee Nation and what that encompasses. And some of them are saying it encompasses, if you're Cherokee Nation, you live here, it encompasses that. I mean, you're part of it. So, Councilman Deere.
Counselor Dobbins, recently I've talked to a bunch of CPAs about that situation, and what they're saying to do is if you apply for it and get denied, the CPA will file this, I think it's called a stay, where it holds on to those statute of limitations of you filing, because they're denying some and giving some back. So your CPA will file this stay that keeps you in the statute of limitations when you do appeal it. And that's how you're going to end up getting it back, because I think the amount was $1 trillion for 3 years that the state looked at. So when you go to your professional or your CPA or does your taxes, if they do send that off, make sure if you do get the denial letter that it shows that you filed within that statute of time, because it's going to come up again, and that's what they're working through now. So just wanted to update on that, because I've talked to 3 or 4, and that's what they're all having to do, because they're just getting covered up by people.
And on top of that, some of them are going back 3 years. They are. So, Councilman Crittenden?
Yeah. And how fast did you seen a 184 loan go through?
It depends on how the loan is actually packaged, but maybe about a month.
Wow. You know, with housing, understandably,
done.
we've got so and so many years before, but if you can, now 184, you can build, buy and remodel,
Yes,
and so
yes.
I've never asked that question. So if you're just wanting to go out and buy, you could be set up in a matter of months, possibly. If
Oh,
you're-
yes, yes.
Wow, that's big. I never put that together back all years ago when I was asking about what that was. I always said, well, the monthly payment's probably a lot higher than going this. Well, not necessarily.
No.
Well, it's probably, they'll scrutinize your credit a whole lot more. Well, and whoever I was asking said, well, not necessarily, maybe not even as much as if you went through housing authority. And then, well, probably a lot longer, and they just said quicker. So, wow, that's a neat deal.
It does, and it usually does lower someone's payment because of the private mortgage insurance.
And then the kicker is where they'll have, is it 20% down payment? Is that what a lot of the 184?
184 doesn't require a down payment that large, no. It's 1.5% or 2% is the down payment required.
1.5
Or 2, I would have to look at it to tell you exactly what it is. And then the reduced cost of the private mortgage insurance is what lowers your payment. Because if you have less than 20% equity in your home, then the bank charges you private mortgage insurance on top of it. So, and they do,
Now, I've been telling everybody in the world about the 184 loan, but I was expecting a, pretty good weight, but.
no, because it's the bank. You apply at the bank, and then the bank, once the bank approves you, and they know the 184 guidelines fairly well, then they send it to HUD, and HUD reviews them and has the final approval over it. So it's not a lengthy process.
Well, thank you, Anna.
All right. Victoria? Okay. Is there any other questions for Anna? All right, Anna, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tara Lee, are you around? Okay, so Jennifer Killer is not going to be here. She's wasn't prepared to come. She's a little too far away to make it. Are you going to answer a question for Jennifer Kirby too?
Jennifer Kirby
Oh, is Jennifer here?
Jerry
Oh.
Killer is at her office, which is about 15 minutes away, so I'm happy to take questions for her.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer or comments? I have one
Jerry.
comment. What?
For Jerry.
Jerry, I'm sorry. For Jerry. I guess as a councilman, I'm sure you all are the same way, that I read the email on the emergency little repair deal we got going with the housing authority. That's a heck of a deal, and we've been needing that forever, and sure glad to see that's going to be in service. That's awesome. So, and it'll be used a lot, so they better be ready. Anybody? Wes?
Could you have her check, I know that this council passed back when we first came in 2019, I think it was $20 million we put towards rehabbing to try to bring everything up to date. I know before pandemic happened, I was asking and requesting, could we get a percentage basically on how many we had, say there was 100% backlog. We now have got 20% done, 30% done. Where are we at on our backlog of our housing rehab? If we could get something like that in front of us by next meeting, that'd be great. Appreciate it.
Sean?
Yeah, I was just gonna comment on what you were talking about, Mike, that, after hours and help that we can go through the housing authority, man, that was a shot in the arm. That was a big shot in the arm. And I remember years ago us talking about it and looking for nail bags and hammers and everything else. But man, that was a shot in the arm. And the rehab, catching up on the backlog, that was the first thing I remember Chief calling us on. I was at a softball game. I remember Harley was on it, different ones, and $35 million into housing rehab. No, hey, wait a minute, this guy, so I'm excited after this dust blows over, because a lot of us, that's a big percentage of our calls, and they've been already hitting some of the emergency needs. They wasn't going inside, but some of them are just waiting. It's my understanding for. They might have got the outside stuff done, and now all they need is when COVID's manageable or whenever they're going to start it is when they can start going inside. But two good things there. So relay that if you would, Terry.
I will.
It's good comments. Anybody else? Terry Lee, thank you again for filling in. Jennifer Kirby. How are you, Jennifer? Good afternoon. What have you got for us?
Prepared on the call to answer any questions that you guys might have about ICW, but I'm not sure that she said she could hear everything, but she couldn't see anybody, so I don't know if she's able to tap in, but I was going to see if you had any questions for her.
Can you hear us, or can we hear you, I guess? I don't think we're going to get anything on our screens today.
Well, that was my big announcement today. But I'd like to open it up any questions that
Sure.
you might have about any of our programs going on right now.
Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer? Wes?
Now that we've had for about, I guess, a little over a month now, we've started getting, our citizens have been getting getting calls that have been approved for the COVID relief emergency funds, since they came back out with that as a $500, up to $500. I have a lot of people that are calling that's, getting $150 and maximum $250, and they keep asking me what qualifies getting them to the $500.
It's based on household size, because again, we have a large number to serve, household size, and we're basing it more off of food insecurity, and then also offering other programs within our department that could possibly help with other issues that are going on in the household, and asking them to please, at that time, reach out to us or let us know what those specific needs are, because there might be other programs that are more, could help more, or like with our elders, could be more long-term, like LIHEAP or something in that realm. So it is based on household size.
And what size does that have to be to get $500?
It's 7.
7? It'd have 7, okay. All right, just making sure so that way I can go back to them and say, I got 250, do you have 7 in there? At least I know that there is a threshold, because right now it's been coming up goose-egged on what to tell them, so appreciate it.
Right, yeah.
Thank you.
Mary?
Jennifer, on the report, on the month of January, it doesn't give us the average response to notice time.
For ICW? I know, I believe the previous month, it was 90 days. But that's got left off of this one, or got cut off out of the box.
And the next thing I wanted to inquire about is what is done for sexual abuse to our children? What happens? Are they removed from the home? And if so, is it permanently or what?
Okay. I think we could get a really good explanation for you and share the
Okay.
steps and the process of that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, I have a couple of quick ones. I'm still getting calls from people who haven't heard anything. They have a hard time getting through the number. If I have names, if I get names, can I give them to you? Can you check on them and tell me?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Yes. If you can get them, at the end of every day, or if you have a few at a time that you would like to send to me, that way I can kind of do them in a group. But
Sure.
I know we do the best we can to keep up with all requests and questions that come in about those, and so we'll get back to you as soon as we can and dig down to what's going on.
So how many applications did you have in this last program?
For the emergency assistance,
Yes.
is it around 27,000?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot of people do you know how many people you have working on those applications?
It's about 65.
Okay. Yeah, and that's good, because we learned from that the last time, you guys have done a good job of getting more people active on it, and hey, this thing has been difficult as far as just how are we going to implement everything we're doing, and you guys have made a progression of how you've got better and better as you went, and I think that's what we have to be. It's just difficult to get things done in a timely manner. It's a lot of work, and I think for the most part, people, they understand that.
Well,
So-
and I would also tell you that our phone calls, when we get a phone call, it's very seldom that we're off the phone in less than 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
We end up going into explanations and really asking them questions to see if there's any other programs that we could help them with, or any situations. It's all throughout Cherokee Nation, not just human services questions, so
Sure.
we try to do the best
And-
we can.
And you know how those 27,000 people, a ton of them call. I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting a ton of calls, we know that.
Yeah.
Well, if the one thing that I wish that maybe that could be a little better is the advocates throughout our districts. If those advocates could maybe get a list we could go through those advocates to find out who's been approved and who hasn't been approved. It might take pressure off from calling that main office and stay off your main line. If we could maybe go through our advocates, if they could be sent lists and we could go through them instead of you, that might help with the burden of too many phone calls, tying up your lines.
Okay.
So, and one other question, I have a email about, or a text about, a lady got a deal that says she has passed phase 1, and hasn't heard anything else back, what is past phase one? I mean, what else is to get where she needs to be to get assistance past phase one?
So phase one initially just takes a look at address. Does address look correct? Is there citizen ID? Is it correct? Is the spellings, emails, things of that nature, have they received assistance previously? All of those things will be looked at in the first level, and then could be caught. And then the second level takes a little bit further look to make sure that all of those things are filled in that maybe the first level might have missed. Make sure we have an assistance level or amount on there as well. So,
And then after that, will they be eligible for funds?
yes. Then it goes on to the next step for payment processing.
Okay. Anybody else? No. EO?
I would like to see, like, so many people don't know how many they have supplied, and I don't think we did a good enough job of telling people why we're so slow on getting their money. I think we need to have more things to the public and tell them. It would save a lot of phone calls and then explain to them how they're getting their money. I get so many calls, people are saying they won't know if it's a scam.
Right.
I think if we put out some more better news, or for lack of words, to inform them better, it would make them feel a lot better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they get that little plane comes out and they think it's a scam.
Yeah. That's a good point, because, that, I had 10 texts and emails about, I got this thing from Chase Bank, and they were asking if that Chase Bank was the right deal. So, yeah, and I didn't know either, so that's a good question. I mean, that's a good,
So we actually do that. So anybody that's been approved and their payment's getting ready to be transferred to Chase Bank, we send them an email from Cherokee Nation that says, please be on the lookout for an email from Chase Payments. And it's going to, we'll give them all the indications, either the text message or email that they may receive, to let them know. And I've talked to several people that didn't see or read the email, but they saw the one from Chase Payments. And so we are trying to, just in front of that, say, please look at it. This is what you need to do. These are the steps that you need to do, that you need to take to secure the payment. So we are doing that in advance of any time we send out. We've done 2 transmittals, and last night I was teasing Jennifer. I went ahead and moved forward with 6,800 applications that were pending in level 2, and we're making that final. So I would expect that this week we should pay all but a few hundred that have applied just most recently. And so we should be able to go through that. One of the things I do want to alert you is we are doing this based on household, as Jennifer spoke. And so the number of people in the household is what determines how much funding that household will receive. We do look for duplication. So if the address has been submitted for previously, or that citizen ID has been submitted for previously. But we did have about 27,000 applications. And of course, that all hits. And we were in the process of moving these things along when the ice storm hit, and it's caused some delays in our processing. But we did move through that final batch, short of a couple hundred that have applied most recently. So.
well, Chief of Staff, if maybe one other suggestion, whenever you tell those people that they should be expecting this from Chase, if you could let us know, you might send us something, because we're going to get that call. And I know, if we know that, and we can probably cut off you all from get that that question asked too, because we can answer that question.
Yeah, so that final, or this round of payments, third round, it won't be the final round. We are getting close to expending all of the funds, however. We thought we may have to shut it off, because we said that we would either keep it open through December 1st of 2021 or until the funds were expended. We are getting close to that threshold of exhausting that pool of money. So I think we'll make this payment and go ahead and process this next batch, but that we need to go back and double check the figures just to make sure that we don't overexpend that pool of money.
And how much
But
was it?
I'll send you guys the email, so that you guys can see the example of what each one that's approved will see.
And how much total did we receive to spend?
So we had set aside 7 million. And I think in the first round was about 1.5, if I remember correctly, which was about 6,300 people. And then, the second round was about another 4,000 to 5,000 people. And then this last round was about 6,300. So.
That's good. That's a lot of people. That's a good job. Anybody else? Harley?
Todd or Jennifer, I just want to clear up, I had this, I think it was an email or text from some citizen that asking me if we were buying outbuildings. And I said, well, not to my knowledge, so I said, just call administration to find out, but can you clear that up? Or I think what she's saying outbuildings is a storage building, what she meant, but.
Is any part of a program? No, but we are evaluating using some of doing like a tiny house renovation to like a small storage building.
Oh, okay.
We are looking at that and doing like a small pilot of 5 or 6 of those units, and working with some of our vocational trades students to retrofit and renovate those and see if we can replicate that.
That might have been what she was talking about,
Yeah.
and I just told her I had no knowledge of it, to call that
Yeah.
in and let you guys take care
Yeah,
of it.
we don't have any slated to go to any individuals or anything like that, but we are evaluating that to
Okay.
see what we can do.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
EO?
Yes, on the one that's gonna get a paper check, will they be the last ones?
Yeah, so with processing, similar to what we did with the educational assistance for students, we did the chase payments, and so if they accept that payment, they'll get it in their bank account within 24 to 48 hours. If they choose to decline that payment at the end of the week, we download that information and process a paper check. So it'll probably add about another 7 to 10 days for processing, and then whatever it takes to mail it to them.
Good deal. Thank you.
Quick announcement. Yes, this came from Anna Knight, I think from questions asked from Counselor Crittenden and Counselor Shambaugh. It says, let the committee know that the exact down payment required for a HUD 184 loan is 1.25% for loans under 50,000 and 2.25 for loans over 50,000. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
And
Anybody else?
If I might add to Speaker Byrd's update on that, I have been a 3-time user of the Section 184 program. It is a very good program. The longest I've had to close on a loan has been 45 days, and that was only one of them. The other 2 closed within 30 days. And then the other thing I wanted to point out, and now I've lost it all of a sudden. And this is for our at-large council members. If you guys will recall, a couple of years ago, we worked with HUD to do a Section 184 expansion in the 4 northwest counties of Arkansas based on population and historic presence. And so those citizens that may live, and I think at that point in time, we had about 9,800 citizens that live in those 4 northwest counties of Arkansas, are also eligible for a Section 184 program as well.
Sean?
Todd, a lot of these programs are, kind of one-time new home owners, but like you said,
So you can do it more than one time on this one?
Yes, it's just like any other home loan. It's not a one and done operation. And so I have bought a house and sold it, and then when I moved to Arizona, I used a Section 184 loan for that program there, and then when I moved back to Oklahoma, I used a Section 184 home loan again.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Chief of Staff.
Counselor Shambaugh?
Yes. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, I have Todd, since you brought up the the counties in Arkansas, and this may be an Anna Knight question as well, but maybe you can help with it also. When I was first on council, 2007, 2008, Jack Baker and I passed a resolution that year. The council passed a resolution to extend the 184 program to Arkansas, and so we're very glad to see that that was finally realized. But it was also to Texas, and Texas has just been a stickler ever since. And I just wondered if you had any sense of whether we're ever going to get any movement out of that situation.
A great question, and we did actually request, I think in our initial request, we evaluated 5 or 6 counties there in northern Texas, and asked HUD to do that, and we actually did a letter of support for the Choctaws and their presence there. But unfortunately, one of the issues that we had with HUD was showing current land ownership and current presence in that area. But it's not to say that we can't go back and reevaluate that. In fact, I think HUD nationally is looking at that program and maybe changing some of the programming requirements associated with it to possibly expand it into other regions that haven't been served. But that I'll definitely take a look at that and pull back up the information, because I actually worked pretty heavily when I came back to work for Cherokee Nation on the Section 184 expansion request. So I'll pull that back up and see what our chances are to look at Texas.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? All right, thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. No old business, no new business. Any announcements to the right, to the left? I need one more. Second? All right, we're done.